What's going on, Summoners? Welcome back to another ProGuides video. I'm Kangas, and I'm going to be your host for this week's weekly news update. Whether it's another Lifesteal change, a possible Xin Zhao rework, or the addition of cool new legendary and prestige skins, this week has been chock full of stuff to talk about, so hit that sub button, and let's get into it. Ever since the complete overhaul of new items, Riot has been struggling to properly balance the lifesteal mechanic and the value that it has on certain champions. Their initial plan was to simply make Grievous Wounds more accessible, as well as allowing users to upgrade their healing reduction items into one with an even higher healing reduction percentage for those games where it's extremely necessary to have. With the addition of Oblivion Orb and Bramble Vest now having healing reduction, things were looking up as now every class had the ability to control enemy champions who base their kits around large amounts of lifesteal. The issue is, with the introduction of these new healing reduction items, there were also new healing empowering items added alongside them. I'm sure by now you've all had the experience of almost killing an Aatrox when he suddenly uses Gore Drinker and ends up back with full HP. Having to deal with a mechanic like that can feel extremely frustrating for players, and it only feels worse when you did the right thing and built Grievous Wounds, yet it still didn't help. Overall, the meta turned into one that favored bruisers and lifesteal AD carries that could benefit most from these high healing percentages. Riot has tried to nerf lifesteal a bit more in the past, and it has had a fairly decent effect, but it still remains supreme as one of the strongest stats in the game. But their slow approach to nerfing lifesteal is somewhat beneficial, as it allows them to not completely remove healing champions from the game, but also reduce their impact overall to a bit more of a healthy state. We've already seen the old nerfs and how beneficial they were to removing things like Gore Drinker meta, where Olaf was running rampant into the jungle, so with these new changes, hopefully we see an even more healthier balance of lifesteal and its counterplay as time goes on. With their second round of systemic healing and reduction plan for 11.6, Riot is looking to nerf lifesteal by exchanging its strength for additional stats in other places. Overall, they want to keep the power as a whole in a neutral state with these changes and simply reduce the amount of healing without further hurting other areas of items and champions. Their goal is to make lifesteal an optimal choice rather than the overall baseline for multiple champions. With that being said, before we look at the new changes, don't forget about the awesome discount that we have over at ProGuides.com. If you head over to the site, you can use code RANKUP2021 to get a 20% off discount on any purchase. You won't want to miss out on this great opportunity to get some coaching and exclusive access to amazing courses from some of your favorite pro players. With that said, let's dive right into the changes. The first change we're looking at is the power adjustment to Vampiric Scepter. Its lifesteal will be nerfed from 10% to 8%, but its cost will also be reduced by 50 gold, which drops it from 900 gold to 850. This change is still a decent cut to lifesteal, but it also helps champions that itemize it early to have a benefit of rushing it over other damaging items. Next up, we got the item that made Samira famous, Shield Bow. Shield Bow is getting slightly nerfed for melee champions and a slight buff for some ranged champions. Its lifesteal is being dropped from 12% to 10%, as well as having its lifeline lifesteal increase removed. For those of you who didn't know, whenever Shield Bow's passive was activated, the user also gained a pretty potent amount of lifesteal. It's often overlooked, but it can offer a ton of emergency healing in situations where you need to keep yourself alive. That being said, there's a reason we said that it's a slight buff for only some ranged champions. With the removal of this large amount of lifesteal, it's not that great of an item on champions such as Draven and Samira anymore. However, with the removal of its bonus lifeline lifesteal, it's going to give 25 to 50% additional attack speed during the duration instead. This bonus attack speed is not to be underestimated for champions like Vayne, as it can give them the bonus damage that they need to put up a fight before they get taken down. It also helps that its shield amount is getting buffed from 250 to 700 to now 300 to 800. While this overall adjustment hurts a few carries, it offers a lot more power for traditional AD carries that need a survivability option. Bringing us to our next adjustment, we've got Blade of the Ruin King. Orc is well known for being a powerful item on bruisers due to its powerful interaction with melee attacks and just attack speed overall. While it has become a primarily melee champion item, there's still a few ranged champions that itemize it occasionally. Its lifesteal is getting dropped from 12% to 10%, and its siphon damage will go from 40 to 120 damage to 40 to 150 damage. Overall, this shifts its power more into its damage rather than its lifesteal, but it isn't too large of an adjustment for champions who just build this one lifesteal item. Finally, we have Ravenous Hunter. This rune has slowly grown in popularity throughout the season to the point where nearly every AD carry and fighter is taking it. Its ability to provide you with a decent early game Omnivamp and overall a strong amount of healing later in the game makes it a powerful rune that Riot feels needs to be tuned down a bit. It's having its base Omnivamp nerfed from 1% to 0% and its Omnivamp per stack from 1.7 to 1.5%. Overall, this is a 2% cut in Omnivamp for the rune, which may seem small, but that's a pretty powerful nerf, especially when you consider the reduction of healing on area of effect damage. This will shift the power of this rune to becoming a bit more situational, as well as cutting down the amount of healing champions like Samira gain over time. Since we're on the topic of changes, let's quickly go over our question of the day. What's one change that Riot has implemented that you just can't let go of in your heart? Personally for me, I remember my first ever season in Ranked, I grinded to gold only playing Alistar support with Zerat Portal Banner of Command. Now I understand that items that automatically push waves are pretty bad for the game, but I do kind of miss those cheese strats. Let me know your answers though in the comments below. A new week of changes means that there's also a wide array of new skins coming out. The PvE is currently featuring the expansion of the Battle Academia skin line with 5 confirmed skins, one being a legendary and the other having a prestige variant, not to mention that they all have some nice chromas for you to choose from. For all you Caitlyn lovers out there, her new Battle Academia skin features new voice lines, recall, and ability animations, and a pretty sick ultimate that I won't spoil for you guys here. This will be her second legendary skin line alongside her futuristic Pulsefire skin. She'll be hitting the Rift within the next few patches for the whopping price of 1820 RP. Trust me, if you got the expendable income, it's a really cool skin that comes with an even better line of chromas, so it's worth it if you got the money. Next up, we got Wukong, Garen, Leona, and Yone, and possibly Yasuo as the rest of the 1350 Battle Academia skins. All of them have some pretty nice changes that overall fit the theme of a school filled with powerful superheroes and villains. If you really want to stand out though, Leona is going to be the prestige skin for this line, rocketing a gold coat with dazzling sparkles around her. If you love playing Leona, be prepared to grind out the tokens needed for this skin. It's interesting how all of these characters know each other and exist together. Riot seems to be putting more effort into creating a universe with skin lines, and feels a lot more fluid and realistic as a result. That being said, they all seem to have a relationship with one another and interact with their voice lines. These voice lines hinted at Yasuo possibly joining the skin line, but that's not confirmed yet. Per usual, with all these new themed skins, there are going to be new icons and borders to match. Alongside this new Battle Academia content, there's also word that all champions are going to be receiving new series Eternals. Eternals were introduced to offer a way to customize your champion in a way that shows your mastery, but it always felt a bit underwhelming since every champion had one set of specialized Eternals. With the addition of these new ones, people will be able to truly show off their skills with their favorite champions as they level up their Eternals to show their mastery. With Riot hoping to redo the client at some point in the future to further improve player personalization, these Eternals are a step in the right direction for allowing people to customize their profile to fit their playstyle and, of course, personality. And as we get closer to the end of the video, we want to make sure that we include the news that Xin Zhao has a rework in the works. It's not necessarily a complete overhaul, but it'll definitely help him feel a bit more comfortable in the current meta, as well as let him pair better with all the new items. With these changes, Riot aims to make his W fit into his combos better, provide him with new off builds for Xin that offer different gameplay outputs, and overall, give him a roughly 2% buff in the jungle. There's no set release date for this yet, and keep in mind that it's still extremely subject to change. But I am excited to see someone like Xin Zhao get that attention because honestly, I kind of forgot that he existed in the game, and especially after his lack of power in the new meta with the new item changes. Regardless, let's look at the changes that they have planned. For Xin's passive, they're looking to change the healing amount by adding an additional 15% AP scaling and reducing its base heal from 10 to 122 to 7 to 92. AP scalings always seem strange on champions that build a lot of AD, but don't underestimate their power, especially if the overall goal is to open up new build paths. Next up, Xin's Q is going to have its bonus physical damage modified from 20 scaling to 52 to 15 scaling to 51. It's a slight nerf that slightly hurts its early game damage, but it will be mitigated by all the other changes that he's experiencing. For example, his new W. This W has a lot changing with it, and it seems to be one of the core things that Riot wants to adjust to make it better fit with his kit. Its animations and hitbox clarity has been adjusted to make it not only easier for the enemy to see, but for Xin to understand the range of it. Its thrust damage is now going to be increased by up to 33% based on your critical strike chance, and your W will no longer apply lifesteal at 33% effectiveness. For any of you who didn't know, Xin's W cast time scales with attack speed. Riot's looking to remove this and give it a standard 0.5 second cast time. But keep in mind, this functions as a buff due to your ability to go more versatile with builds without being punished. Mana cost for his W is going to be changed from 45 to 60, as well as its stab range being changed from 900 to 1000. With this increase in range, its damage is also being adjusted. It's losing some base damage as it goes down from 40 scaling to 180 to the new 30 scaling to 170. Alongside this, its total AD scaling will be dropped from 80% to 75%, but it will now have an additional 50% AP scaling with it. Its cooldown will be dropped from 8 seconds at max rank to 6 seconds at max rank, and finally, arguably one of the biggest changes to his W is that it now challenges champions and monsters and provides vision of them for 3 seconds. This may seem small, but just wait till you see how it mixes with his new E. Xin's E is pretty cut and dry. It's a dash onto your target that lets you deal damage. With his W now challenging enemies, Riot wants to add that the cast range for his E is going to be increased to 1100 on the challenged target. This means if you're able to hit them with the tip of your spear, which is going to have its range buffed, you'll be able to close the gap better than ever. To take away some power from this change, the dash speed is going to be reduced from 3000 to 2500, but regardless, it's a nice interaction that provides a good combo for Xin that doesn't feel out of place. Finally, we have his ultimate. His ult has always been fairly unique, but it doesn't really fit that well into the new meta. Regardless, to add to his build diversity, they're going to be adding 110% AP scaling to his ultimate and are extending the duration to 5 seconds from 3 seconds. With this duration extension, however, now any basic attacks and spells during the ultimate will no longer provide additional time, which again is a buff for more versatile builds. Before we close out the video, don't forget to join our Discord so you can be part of our amazing ProGuides family. We offer exclusive giveaways, videos, and overall a positive community, so don't miss out. Join us with the link found in the description down below. And that's it for this week's news. Thanks so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed the weekly recap and learned something you didn't know before. Remember to hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date on all of our new uploads about news, patches, tier lists, and our in-depth guides. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, best of luck in the rip. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time.